Welcome to another episode of Technical Earth Syndicate, where we're here to inspire, inform, and entertain you. I'm Michael Buffington.
I'm Chris Stewart.
And this is episode 16.
And Josh Moon is here too.
Oh my god! We have
is
a
this
guest.
A guest?
Yeah.
We have a guest, you guys.
Well, this is Joshua Moon.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Well, this is the first time, and I'm glad to have you, Josh.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, we brought Josh actually here for a special thing, since Chris and I are actually, avid Apple users. Josh is always griping. He's like, man, you don't ever do anything with Google. And so I kind of brought him onto the show to talk about Google.
Yeah, I've always been a huge Google fanboy, and I've always been one to spread the good word about Google. So I'm glad that you guys gave me the opportunity for that.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, we're always down to talk about stuff. Since I don't own many Android products, so we only own one, and that's my wife's phone. I don't really get a chance to kind of go over some of the Google stuff like I used to when I had that phone. So
yeah, well, the cool thing is some of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about is stuff that a lot of people will be able to use without necessarily having to own an Android device per se. It'll be just universal products that people can use.
Cool. All right. Well, on the overview of the show, we're going to do Google discussion. And on Alan's Tech Corner, we're going to talk about surgical robots, Tron-inspired virtual lanes for bicycles, and driving cars. Oh my. After that, we have our TES news, so stay tuned.
Commencing Operation Topic Attack.
Awesome. So, yeah, Mike, we've been talking previously about Chrome OS. I know that you had sparked up an interest in it and wanted to maybe install it on one of your old netbooks. Is that right?
Old laptop. I tried it. I'm still in the works of installing it. I had some issues, and I tried. Which ones did I try? I tried the basic vanilla copy, and then I tried something else. I think Lime, and I couldn't get it to install. I got it to the command prompt, and I was trying to figure that out and read up on it, and I just haven't looked more into it. But I am gonna continue doing that. So hopefully I can get it running soon, so I don't know.
Awesome. Well, hopefully some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about will entice you to get it installed a little bit more. I personally have had an interest in the Chrome OS since Google first announced it, which was a couple years ago, and they had a program where you could sign up to get more information on it, and the people that signed up were offered the early beta Chromebooks. And I was lucky enough to participate in that, so I've been using Chrome OS for a while, and I've gotten a good experience with it.
Right.
Some of the coolest part about it is that because it's created by Google and runs the Chrome browser, it syncs all of your data across all of the devices that you have. So if you've got an Android device, if you've got Chrome installed in your desktop, or if you've got a Chromebook,
right,
all of your information is the same across the board. So your bookmarks are synced, passwords, themes, settings, stuff like that. My ex-girlfriend actually, when she was signed into the Chromebook, everything would show up like it was on her MacBook, and I could restore that thing 100 times, and she would never notice a difference.
Nice. Yeah, I had a Chrome on my old Android phone before I couldn't. I gave it to my wife. Whatever problems, whatever. I had a Chrome on there, and I used to sync my Chrome browser with it all the time. So I remember that was pretty cool.
It's really great because you can sync even the tabs that you have open. So like if you wanted to look for directions somewhere, you could open up the Google Maps on your desktop and then open up your phone on your way out the door and click on the tab, and it'll open it up, same page, same link, everything, and continue off right where you left off. It's pretty handy. And the other cool thing about it too is that it's also got the Google Drive, which is the replacement for Google Docs, built right into it. So a lot of people are worried about their files and things like that. People download pictures, music, documents, whatever. Anything that you download to the Chromebook is automatically saved with Google Drive.
Right.
So again, if you have to restore it, or if you even get a completely new device, you can log right back into it, and it saves everything, or rather downloads everything from your Google Drive and allows you to access it, which is another great feature. I'm sure that a lot of people, or at least I hope that a lot of people already use Google Docs.
We started actually using it just for the show, and I never used it before that. And then, like, what the first 3 episodes we didn't use it. And I was like, how are we gonna relay all this information? You know, like our how we're doing the show and everything. And with Chris, Allen, and I, we were. Well, Alan actually said, "Why aren't you guys using Google Docs?" And I was like, "Oh, okay. Let me try this out."
Yeah, things have gone a lot smoother since we started using it.
Yeah, it's a good alternative to what most people would have previously used email for, where they would, send each other the same document back and forth, and just download it and make edits to it and re-upload it, or continuously just make changes to replies in the email. And now it's all live editing. Like I know right now we're all sitting here looking at the same document, and all 3 of us can edit it and see the changes in real time, which is, I think, one of the coolest things. It's really good for if you're in school too, especially for college students. If you have to like work on a project together, you all don't have to be sitting in the same room anymore. You can just have a web browser open and be able to make changes to the project at the same time.
Most colleges actually recommend that too. So
yeah, well, a lot of colleges use Google services as replacements too. So like I live right next to USF. They use Google services for their email. They have links to the Google Docs and Google Calendar. It's a good way to stay connected with everything. Your Gmail now, if you get a link to a document, or if you get a download for a document, you can open it up directly in Google Docs. If you get a mention of a date and time, you can automatically add it to your Google Calendar. And then, of course, if you've got an Android device, you can also access all that information from your Android device to get alerts and notifications and things like that. It's interesting because one login nowadays allows you to access pretty much your entire personal life, and it makes it a lot easier.
Now, how much can you go? Like, I know they've been selling Google Books, or what are they called? Chromebooks, right?
Chromebooks, yep.
Now, how much are those going for right now?
They start off at about $330, I believe, and then they go upwards of $530. The differences are, of course, storage capacity, which isn't a huge problem with Chromebooks because, like I said, it's all synced to the cloud. But then also certain ones will offer 3G or even 4G services. And the great thing about that is that Google has backed all of these devices. If you get one of the ones with 3G, they give you 200 megs of service each month for free, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're just browsing the web, as long as you're not watching high-def YouTube videos all day, 200 megs can go a long way.
Now, is there any hardware specifications for, like, does the Chromebook actually use any hardware like video cards in their systems or anything like that? Because I know I saw something on that Google Lime or whatever, Chrome Lime.
Yeah, it's pretty much just a standard integrated video card. So with the Google or the Chrome Lime, that one just has better driver support. So for the notebooks that don't necessarily come with Chrome OS, it would support those video cards better. But the ones that you buy in the store, it's just a standard Intel integrated video card. It's nothing special. It's enough to output some basic video or whatever on your browser.
Now with all the current, if you're a gamer, that's one reason I haven't switched over to Chrome OS. I know there's games on the Google Store and everything like that. What is it called? Google Play Store or whatever.
Yeah.
They have games on there, but they don't have like dedicated games like Steam. Like I don't see Valve coming up with saying, "Hey, we're gonna make a Steam streaming service for Chrome OS." I know Chrome OS hasn't caught on to a lot of people. Maybe that's why. But what could you offer for gamers if they switched over to it?
Well, that's the thing is Chrome OS isn't really made to be a complete replacement. Like I love Chrome OS and I've been using it for a while, but ultimately, when it comes to gaming, you still need a computer that's got the power and the programs and applications for it.
Right.
So I've got my desktop for that. The Chrome store has a few games to choose from. Like there's a great one by the Harebrained Studios. It's Crimson something or other. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's this like a steampunk shooting game. So there are games for it, but they don't work quite as well on a Chromebook because it's made mostly just for browsing the web.
Well, hopefully gaming kind of opens up because Chris, what is that? Onyo? What?
Ouya?
Ouya. That's Android based, and that you heard about that, Josh, right?
Yeah, I've heard about that, and I'm really excited about that because
Yeah.
I think it'll get more people interested in the open source community and gaming in open source. And the cool thing too is that with all this gaming development and all these web apps and things that are web centric, they're coming up with more web-based technology to access that hardware. So they've got hardware acceleration for those web apps that allow them to use more of the power of the computer inside the browser, whereas previously, you had just basic display of text and video and nothing special. But now they're able to really use the power of your computer.
Right.
So is the Chrome OS like a normal kind of OS like Windows or Linux, or is it something entirely different?
Well, it started off as something entirely different. So the Chrome OS it has its own security scheme that makes it to where it can boot up super quickly. So when you open the laptop, it automatically turns on. In about 7 seconds, you are logged in and online.
Nice.
And it's literally just a web browser. The very first incarnation of it, there was nothing else. The web browser had the time and battery status built into the top toolbar, but beyond that, you had nothing else. And then your new tab page had access to web apps and stuff like that. Now, with updates, they've made it sort of look a little bit more like your standard desktop, except that it's still just a web browser. So they've got like a fancy background behind it and a taskbar sort of feel at the bottom where it's got just a solid bar and a couple of shortcuts to your favorite apps. So it kind of gives you that familiarity for people who may not be wanting to jump completely out of the desktop environment, because for a lot of users, that's all they really use their computer for is Facebook.
For laptop standards, that's awesome because you know what I generally hate when you buy a laptop. I dislike laptops so much. I'm a tablet person now, but because of the boot time on laptops is what the major annoyance with me is. When you get a tablet, even Google tablets, and I have an iPad, Chris has an iPad, it boots so fast after it goes. It's like you could just leave it on anytime. And hearing an 8-second boot time for an OS, that's fantastic right there.
Yeah, well, the way they've been able to do that is they've created their own sort of security scheme for that, where they've got their own custom firmware, and it checks the file system as it boots up. So because they've made their own firmware for this, it's sort of skipped the normal post sequence that you have on a standard desktop. So it's cut down on the boot time a lot. They have direct access to the hardware, but in a secure fashion that allows them to start up a lot quicker than what you would expect out of a operating system.
Hopefully we see that from a majority of the companies later on, because right now, I mean, even working on Mac OS X and Windows, it's just the boot times suck.
Yeah, well, with Windows 8, they're sort of implementing something similar to that. They're using what's called UEFI booting. Essentially, it's a more advanced BIOS system that allows you to boot up much quicker and have better control over the hardware.
I'll have to check that out when it comes out. I didn't even download the developer or the trial rather.
Yeah, I've been
Windows 8.
running it for a while. The startup time on a normal desktop isn't too great right now, but I think once they release it on the hardware built for it, it'll be much better. Yeah, so Google also has the Android operating system, which of course is their mobile operating system.
You get out of here. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I figured I'd get a lot of flack for that. The interesting thing being that Android now has a larger market share than the iOS does.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people still don't necessarily see it that way, because Apple gets the majority of the media and television ads and stuff like that.
Right.
We're strong and we're still out there. The cool thing about Android is that it's run by Google, so a lot of the same features that are in Chrome OS are also then put into the Android operating system. So you have syncing of files, especially with Google Drive now out. They allow you to automatically sync things through Google Drive,
Right.
As well as third-party cloud services like you have Dropbox and Box.net. And then also photo backups. That's one of my favorite things about some of the recent incarnations of Android, is that you have services like Google Plus, but you don't even need to use that. You can use services like Picasa, which are also built into the phone, where any pictures that you take on your phone are automatically uploaded to a private album online, so long as you have an internet connection, obviously. And that makes it so that you don't ever have to worry about if your phone gets reset, losing any of the important information that
Right.
you have on there.
Now, I'll tell you what, I like the Android OS. I liked it a lot when I had it. It's the services behind it, like such as AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, Sprint, so on, right?
Oh yeah.
I dislike how I'm not trying to get into a Google versus Apple kind of thing. I'm going to critique Google on my standpoint where I like their OS on their phones, but I dislike the companies they associate themselves with because I know a lot of Android users have to root their phones just to get updates, and I kind of go by this on myself. I hate having to do something extra. If I paid so much for something, why should I have to go to the extra measures and root something from a company like AT&T does not allow half the updates to go through on some of their Android phones, and that's My Touch 4G that my wife has. T-Mobile will not let it update its OS ever. And that's one problem I see. I love the OS, and I think Android and Google, Google's doing a great job with it. I just wish they would kind of look at some of the companies that they're kind of working with, and that's kind of why I like iOS with iPad. Which I don't even have an iPhone, and our listeners are probably like, "Oh, this guy's an Apple fanboy. He doesn't have an iPhone." No. No, Chris does, but I mean, the best part that I like about the iOS is the updates that come through, and I wish Google kind of took a step up, I guess, with handling companies like T-Mobile and AT&T and Verizon to make sure all their phones got updates. I know there's hardware issues involved and everything like that, but most phones can get those updates fine.
Yeah, especially the newer released phones.
Right.
They're all perfectly capable of running the newer software that's being released. That's why I've always kind of liked to stick with the Nexus series of phones and devices, because those are released directly by Google, and they always get the updates as they're released.
See, that's good for them. I wish they'd push that more as a more Android standard to have, and that's. But some of these other ones, I mean, how many Android companies, or not Android companies, but companies that support the Android OS, but they do nothing with it. It's just kind of that's the one gripe I have. Other than that, I think Google's a phenomenal company. Everything they're doing is correct, and in some aspects they do things better, way better than Apple does. On their support wise.
Yeah, I will be honest. I've always been jealous of iPhones in the sense that there's a lot more uniformity, and
Right.
Man, they have some sweet looking cases too. Unfortunately, I just don't get that for my Android phones.
And that will change hopefully as time goes on. I mean, the best you can do is look at the best of both companies. But right now, actually, I like what Google's doing. It's just that's the small aspect that I just do not like from them. That I wish they would control some of those the little kid companies that are just kind of like wrecking shop and tell you that. I had some friends that just had bad experiences with T-Mobile, and they're like, "I'm never going to go back to there, and I'm going to get an iPhone." Because I had a bad experience with an Android. I'm like, why? Check out some of the other ones from if you're switching over to AT&T or Verizon or something like that, just because, there's a lot of options. Samsung has some good phones, and you were talking about the Nexus and everything. And I don't know, man.
That was probably back when Android was still relatively new, wasn't it?
Right.
Wasn't it still having kind of some issues?
Yeah, when Android first started, it was a lot slower and a lot, I don't know, not as user-friendly as it is now. And, even though Android started off on T-Mobile, T-Mobile definitely kind of has ruined Android now and doesn't have nearly as good of a selection. I was actually one of those people that left T-Mobile early on to go somewhere else.
It's kind of depressing to see it's not Google's fault. It's these companies that are kind of hurting Google with how they handle their customer support. So it's just kind of, I don't know, man. That's one thing I wish that was what I was trying to talk about earlier with you. I just want Google to kind of step it up on that aspect and tell those people to stop. Let us do this, or write it into the contract like Apple did with the iPhone.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people like to take advantage of Android because it is the open source operating system. They think they can just take it, do what they want with it, and then leave it after that. They don't really want to give back to the community or support it as well as they should. I definitely see your point.
Well, now tell us about Jelly Bean. Been hearing a lot about that.
Yeah, well, they just recently released version 4.1, which is Jelly Bean. Of course, they use the dessert naming scheme for all their different versioning of their software. Jelly Bean was first released with the Nexus 7 tablet, their first Android Nexus tablet, which was really awesome because it was only $199 and super powerful tablet, super capable. And then they're rolling out Jelly Bean to most of the major devices now. The S3 is supposed to be getting it at the end of next month, I believe, like end of October, which is going to be pretty exciting. It brings things like better multitasking, brings better notifications, so you can actually expand your notifications and see more information about them, which is really handy. You can, in some apps, you can even reply to certain things right in your notification bar.
I've been hearing a lot of good things about Jelly Bean, actually. Like, I was looking at a couple of the articles of, what it can do and everything, and it's pretty promising for Android users.
Yeah, it's sped up a lot of devices too. They, most people think that with the newer version, it means it's going to be tougher on the hardware, but Google put awesome work into something that they call Project Butter, which is a play on the term "smooth as butter," because that's what it does to the phone. Is it makes it unbelievably fast. It brings it up to something like 120 hertz or something ridiculous on a phone.
Nice.
And it moves faster than I don't know, more fluid than you would expect out of a mobile device. A lot of people griped about that with Android earlier versions. When you're switching screens or using your keyboard, it wasn't as smooth as, like, say, on an iOS device, because everybody's really used to that on Apple's devices. But with Project Butter, they've really made it all fluid, all the transitions and animations and things like that. It's going to be an awesome experience, I think, for the people that get that upgrade.
That's good. Cool.
Yeah.
So for someone like me who's been using, iOS, iPhones, and what have you for better part of 3-4 years, what would you say would be the main selling point for me to switch over to Android or Jelly Bean or what have you?
More hardware options. With the iPhone, you're kind of tied down to the one device, and I know you may laugh at it because it's typically the thing that Android fanboys bring up, but you really do have more options. And the iPhone's a great piece of hardware. Don't get me wrong, especially with the iPhone 5. It's super slick and a gorgeous device. But my personal thing, I have, every time I've upgraded my phone, it's had a bigger screen. And when you look at most of the big screen phones, you may think beforehand that it's not really palm friendly or pocket friendly.
Right.
But the I think it's like 4.5 inches that I have on my S3. It's a perfect size. It's nice, big. It's got a great display on it. More hardware capability in terms of the processor and the amount of RAM. Extra options like the NFC capabilities, which would be near field communications. You can transfer data that way. Really, just the options that you have available, I think, would be the biggest thing to try and convert somebody, if you will.
Chris only has an iPad and an iPhone, right? Chris is stuck with that. I have, and a lot of people that are listening to this are like, oh no, here it goes. I have an iMac, I have an Apple TV, I have an iPad, and I might get an iPhone 5 only because I have a lot of Apple products in my house already that kind of connect to each other. I use AirPlay and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But I'm also a very mixed up tech enthusiast because I also have Samsung devices, monitors, and a gaming PC. And this is where people break, their brains start breaking. They're like, why is this guy living? No, no. But I mean, for me, like, I don't know if I could ever switch to Android since I already have so much Apple products in the house, and I utilize my iMac for audio editing and all that other kind of stuff, and I use AirPlay because I have a lot of iTunes stuff on my account already. I don't see a point of switching over to Google anytime soon because I have like a lot of movies, TV shows, and stuff like that on there.
Yeah.
And that's one reason I wouldn't switch over. But I do like Google. Like I'm interested in Google Chrome OS. And maybe in the future, I may pick up an Android phone if my, if I get an Apple iPhone 5 or something and it breaks. Yeah, I'll probably end up going with a Droid because honestly, they are cheaper.
They are. Well, some of them are.
Some of them actually rank up to the price of an iPhone, which is ridiculous sometimes. But
yeah, that's
without a
something you have
contract,
to buy them outright though.
Yeah. Buying them outright, but with an upgrade, they're pretty cheap. They stay along the lines, 200, 300, right?
Yeah, they're reasonable.
Yeah. But for an Apple user, I don't know, like a full Apple user, I don't see any point of switching over Android, but that's where the whole battle comes with Android fanboys and Apple fanboys. It's like, I guess what you use in your house kind of reflects on what you use as a phone or a tablet or whatever, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a great example. I use Linux mostly in my house, so it would definitely kind of explain why I have Android devices for my mobile devices.
Huh. Well, there you have it, guys. No, I was reading an IGN article, and at the very end of it, they kind of went through Jelly Bean versus iOS 6, and at the very end, they're like, "Can't they just hug it out?" No,
Yeah.
maybe.
Hey, you know, everybody's got their preferences. To each his own.
I mean, hey, we're friends, right?
Yeah.
For now.
For now. Shifty eyes.
Alan's Tech Corner.
So in Japan, the New Energy and Industrial Technology Development Organization, or NEDO, and Kyushu University have come out with a new prototype robot surgical system. It's for endoscopic surgeries. And so what it does, it has 3 cameras that will go inside the person being operated on, and it'll record whatever's going on inside the body, and it provides a 3D image to a screen in a completely different area where the surgeon is going to be working on, like, controlling the robot to actually perform the surgery. But what's really cool about this is it's the whole thing, the control board and everything, is small enough to fit inside of a Japanese lunchbox, which I guess those are pretty small.
A little bit smaller than American lunchboxes, I guess, if we're going old school of it.
Yeah, but the cool thing about it is, like, it could like, if the doctor's out somewhere, they have their, you know, emergency briefcase that'll have the little console in it if they need to perform a surgery just on the fly, and they can do that from wherever they are at the time. So could be interesting in the future.
All right, here's for you bikers. I know, Josh, you just picked up biking, haven't you?
Yeah, I actually just ordered myself a new bike that I'm going to use for my daily commute.
Well, you might like this.
Awesome.
I'm not trying to sell you anything. I don't work for them, I swear. No.
Not yet.
A Korean company called Silencio made a Tron-like virtual lane for your bike, and I'm seeing a picture, and it's like the little laser infrared, or not infrared lights, but little red lights on the side that kind of, I guess, I saw something like this last year about cars not knowing where bike lanes were and everything, and it kind of indicates to a car how far away they are to the bicyclist, and it especially applies like in California and some of those bigger areas that biking is, very, very popular, so it kind of will keep I guess the biker safe, but it's a pretty cool piece of technology. It's gonna go for, it's like $20, so I guess look it up.
Yeah, man, for safety you can't really beat a price tag like that. It'll be good for people that already follow the bike laws.
And it's definitely good for night driving. I remember seeing a company that came out with something like this. It's using flashing red LEDs. That's what it is. Sorry. So it's pretty cool. So you bikers, you might want to look forward to getting this.
I'm definitely going to have to look into that. Thank you.
Now, this one has been a known fact that cars can drive by themselves for a while now. At least a year or so. You're in some change, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Last year, they stated in Nevada, the first Google car. Aha, Google. We said it again.
Yep.
No, the first Google car could drive in Nevada. And now it's legal for a Google car to drive in California. But it's not what you think, though. A driver still has to be present by the wheel. So it's still, just for that extra protection, in case the car veers off road or something like that. I don't know. Josh, you know a little bit about the Google cars, don't you?
Yeah, I've seen a bit about them on and off, and they're definitely interesting, to say the least. It'll be nice to have a vehicle that finally drives itself.
Yeah. Now, but with California now legalizing these cars to be on the road, it's kind of like a stepping stone for the rest of the states to kind of follow that. Now, whether drivers can actually play nice with these cars, because these cars, actually, it's been stated that these cars drive much better than the average Joe driving on the road right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there haven't been any accidents with the cars except for like one time, like when an actual person took control of it.
Yeah, they've had a pretty good run so far.
Well, that's awesome news. I can't wait to hear more about this later on as cities further legalize these cars.
TES News.
For you Mass Effect fans, there's going to be a trilogy coming out November 6th for PC and Xbox 360 for right now. Later on, there's supposed to be a PS3 release of it. Now, I'm thinking that's going to be with Mass Effect 1, so that's the first time for PS3 users.
Yeah, it's all 3 games for $59.99, so that's a pretty good deal for over 75 hours of content. So for all 25 Vita owners in the country, there's going to be PlayStation Plus coming to the Vita in November. It's the it's the same stuff as you get on the PS3, just the $50 a year, and you get rotating selection of free games.
Now, that's not in connection with the PS3, PS Plus?
Well, I believe it's the same. Like if it's the same subscription, like if you have a subscription for the PS3, then it'll still carry over to your Vita.
Okay, that's good.
So you'll have the free games, like I said, and then you'll get the discounts on downloadable games, and you get the online cloud storage for your saves. You get up to 1 gig, I think, for that.
Actually, I think it's more now, isn't it?
What's that?
I think PS3 actually updated their cloud storage.
Yeah, they did. The Vita gets up to 1 gig of storage space
All right.
for their stuff.
Man, maybe now the Vita owners will be able to actually get some content to their devices.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I know, right? And there's more than 25, Chris. Be nice.
All right, there's 30.
Hey, I know one of them.
There's about 100 sad people wanting more content. No, there's more. All right, well, since we're on the topic of Sony, Super Slim PS3 250 gigabyte bundle with Uncharted 3 and a $30 voucher for Dust 514 is going to be released on September 25th for $270. Wow. And a 500 gig bundle with Assassin's Creed released on October 30th for $300. So if you don't have a PS3, there you go.
And Mark of the Ninja, awesome game, just recently came out for Xbox Live Arcade. They're bringing it to Steam on October 16th for $14.99. Great news, no games for Windows Live.
Also, another game coming out to Steam, Castle Crashers, came out this week. Today, actually, as we're recording this. I was a big fan of the one for Xbox Live Arcade. This one is $14.99. It's a little steep for some of us, but if you enjoyed the original, I think it'll definitely be worth it.
Or if you've never played it before, play it with your friends.
Yeah, definitely.
4-player co-op, it's awesome. So
Yeah,
lots of replay value on it.
Love 4-player co-op games. I was never a big fan for PvP, so co-op was definitely my game.
So Mistwalker, the makers of Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey, are coming out with a new tower defense game for iOS on October 1st. It's called Blade Guardian, and it's pretty interesting. Kind of a new take on tower defense. You build your towers and what have you, like normal games, but you also have these maneuvering kind of units called blades. And how those work is you tilt your phone or iPad to kind of control them where they go on the map.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of an interesting new take on the tower defense games.
Any word of it being on Android?
No word of it on Android just yet. But
That's how it always is.
I'm
sure later on it'll probably pop up on there.
Yeah, hopefully. I always get depressed when I see, more iOS games coming out and there's no Android, even though some of the Android products definitely can play it. So
yeah,
Blizzard's considering free to play for StarCraft II for the multiplayer, which is pretty good. And I think the game's pretty cheap now either way, but that they may be considering it. And Blizzard's saying they're considering it might happen in 5 years.
At least.
Yeah, I think the main problem they're having right now is they don't know how to monetize it. They don't want to, cut out certain units and make you pay for them because it's not really fair. But
5 years.
Sounds like they need to monetize on their pro area of StarCraft 2. Man, if they could make their own pro league, I think that they could make some serious money off that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Keiji Inafune, the creator of Mega Man and Dead Rising, is working with Team Ninja on a new zombie action game called Yaiba Ninja Gaiden Z. You can probably tell from the title, it's a Ninja Gaiden spinoff, but what's really interesting about this game is that the protagonist, Yaiba, is also a zombie, and he's on a quest for revenge against his killer, who is none other than Ninja Gaiden's Ryu Hayabusa.
That's insane.
Yeah. Should be a pretty interesting story.
Huh. When's it? There's no release date or anything?
No, they just announced it a few years ago, and I think there's a trailer out now, so you can check that out.
Ooh, I'll have to check that out. I haven't even seen anything on it yet. This is actually the first time I heard anything about it, so.
Yeah.
Cool stuff.
Yep.
Well, I know what I'm doing this weekend. Guild Wars. And Borderlands 2. And Torchlight 2.
Yeah. The wife and I are going to be heading out to Spearfish to be checking out some, I guess they have some shopping out there, restaurants or something. But other than that, I'm probably going to be also playing Borderlands.
I thought you said you were going to spearfish.
Yeah, that's the name of the city, Spearfish.
Oh, I thought you were actually going to go spearfishing. I was like, wow, Chris outside? That's amazing.
That sounds way more fun than going shopping.
Oh, boy. She's going to smack you when she hears this. How about you, Josh?
I'm also going to be playing some Borderlands 2. I just picked it up, and I'm really digging it so far, so I'm going to have to waste a lot of time on that. And then I've also got a pack, because I'm getting ready to move at the middle of next month.
Nice. Well, you know, that's have fun with that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the end of our show. You can follow me at mbufftes on Twitter.
And as always, I'm at CStewTES.
Josh, you still use Twitter?
I have a Twitter account. I don't really use it often, but you can look me up on Google+. I am always on that. I'm Joshua Moon on Google+. I think you can also search for me by my username, Adams Tributor.
Awesome. And thank you for being a part of the show. You've actually helped out a lot. And thank you for all the Google talk that you did. That's more than we've ever gotten on the show combined of all the episodes. So.
No problem. Thanks for having me again, guys.
Yeah. You can also check us out on Facebook and iTunes and also our Steam group. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next time. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Emerald Coast Productions, for making this podcast happen. Also, if you have any comments, questions, or you'd like to be on our show, please email me at techearthsyndicate@gmail.com. And again, that is techearthsyndicate@gmail.com. Until next time, this is Technical Earth Syndicate signing off.